Well, hello there. I am alive. I know that it's been a long time since I posted my last video. I believe it's been a year. So much has happened in my life that it will take me a long time to try to explain it all to you. So I'm going to try to summarize everything and be as brief as possible. First of all, thank you so much for still being here and watching this. It means a lot to me. So, what happened? Starting on January 2025 of last year, we began to start doing renovations in our home to put it for sale. And at the same time, we began a tedious and a very emotionally charged process of getting rid of everything that we didn't need and either put it for sale, donate it, or give it away. The plan was to move to Spain, my native country, as soon as the house sold. Everything went very smooth, and surprisingly, our house sold after only 2 days in the market. That was at the end of April. We only had 1 month to empty the house before we had to leave. Needless to say, 30 years in the US and being an artist led to an incredible accumulation of things, especially art supplies, paintings, equipment. I tell you what, if you ever really need to know what's important to you, start a process like this and you will very quickly find out. My paintings, as well as my daughter, since she's also an artist, went to a climate control storage unit. The rest, we put it in 6 boxes and ship it to Spain. The boxes never arrived. The shipping company lost them. So that was pretty traumatic to me because everything that was truly important that I wanted to take with me and I didn't want to live in the storage unit was lost. So it took a little time to adjust. Since we had a little time before we could move to Spain, we were doing some traveling with our children throughout the US and we had a lot of fun. We went to California, San Francisco. We went to 2 national parks in California. And then I believe we contracted COVID on the plane and we got really sick for at least a couple of weeks. So the last 2 weeks we were in the US. We spent it in North Carolina in a cabin in the woods. And it was really nice, but all we could do was just basically rest because we were very sick. But we were thankful that we had that so we could do it. We spent 2 months in the unbelievably beautiful area of Asturias at the very north of Spain, in the Cantabrian Sea. We did a lot of hiking throughout the region and went to the national park of Picos Europa. We really enjoy all of the animal scenes, especially their celebrated cows and their wild goats. That was a trip that I will never forgive. We rented a vacation home for 2 months in a small hamlet called Asiego. This little place is famous for his cheese called Cabrales, and it was nested right in the beautiful national park of Picos Europa. As a matter of fact, we could see it from a window. We were fortunate to be able to attend the town festivities while we were there. The people and all its animals were really kind and sweet to us. On the way back from the north, we spent a night in the medieval town of Toledo, south of Madrid. Toledo is one of my favorite cities because there is an unbelievable amount of history there. If it wasn't for the cars, you would really feel that time had stopped. Then when we arrived to the south, we found our apartment that, although it was really nice and it was quite roomy, very close to the beach, it didn't really have enough life for me to paint or to set up a studio properly. I really tried to make the rooms to fit that, to try to set up a studio, but it really wasn't possible for me. And this is the reason why I really wasn't inspired to draw or to paint or to make any videos at all. Also, we were busy with paperwork that took a lot of our time, and to get used to another country, and everything was different. The driving, the places, the culture, even though I'm a native from Spain, but the Spain that I left was not the same Spain that I found. Everything had moved on, everything had changed, and although I was incredibly happy and overjoyed to see my family and my friends again, they all had their lives, of course, and I found myself having to learn or relearn a lot of things that I thought I already knew, and especially driving. Driving in Spain is very challenging because there are a lot of cars and some of the streets are very narrow. So you need to be very careful to obey all the rules, all the traffic rules, because they take that very, very seriously, and it's really a lot more complicated. We got our car towed, I think, with the first 2 weeks, and it was not cheap to get it back because we parked in a loading zone and I didn't see the sign. So there are signs everywhere and they will get you if you're speeding. I got a pretty hectic speeding ticket too, and I was only going 8 kilometers, which is like 5 miles over the speed limit, and they did get me through the radar. So the rules are very strict, and as a consequence, of course, most people are really, really good drivers. They're used to park their cars in tiny places. But if you have been used to very wide roads and wide open spaces for as many years as I had, going back to that, then it was very challenging. But little by little, we finally gotten used to it, and we had bought a very small car, and I'm very happy with it. We finally were able to move out of that apartment and get a much nicer house in the mountains. But it's taken a serious amount of soul searching and brainstorming to get me to a place where creation was again possible. So here we are again, finally. I've stripped down to the bare minimum because all my art supplies were lost in some of the boxes that I ship. I have to buy everything from scratch, and everybody knows how expensive all that is. So I only acquired the bare minimum to get me started. I was very upset about that, but I had to come to the realization that I was much more than my art supplies. All the knowledge is still here, and I still have my hands and, most importantly, my desire. And that is the most important thing. But I have to start with the most simple and slow, and that is drawing. I converted the third bedroom of the house into my studio and got only the most necessary items to get me started. I used some of the furniture that came with the house, but I had to buy an easel, paints, and brushes. But I have started a painting already, although mainly for me, and it's a copy of another artist, and I'm just doing it to decorate this house. Therefore, my first videos for a while are going to be drawing videos. And as I get more comfortable with the light I have, with the space, and I'm acquiring more art supplies, then I will paint again and I will make some videos about that. So if you're into painting, be patient, they're coming. And you may want to watch anyway the drawing videos, because drawing is the foundation for painting. And I've always said that if drawing is the skeleton, then the paint is the flesh. I think the most important thing to learn here is that sometimes life gets in the way, But that doesn't mean that we must abandon all our projects and dreams. It just means that we must take a detour, regroup, be flexible, and sometimes, yes, we sometimes need to spend some time in limbo. We must wait and have faith that time again will lead us to the path we were supposed to be taking. I will ask you to forgive my less than perfect light or sound for a while to give me time to build my little studio again. So this is all for today. But in the next video, I will be drawing something that hopefully you would like to see. I will do my best to post a video every other week. I won't be able to do it every week like I used to do it for a while, but I will really try to stay committed to make a video every other week, and hopefully you will follow along and will find the videos interesting and would like to watch them. And I will see you in a couple of weeks.